I've been a line captain with REDACTED Airlines for 11 years. Narrow-body fleet, short to medium-haul routes, high cycle count, tight turnarounds. The job is built on repetition and discipline. Every flight follows the same skeleton: dispatch release, weather review, MEL check, fuel planning, walk-around, cockpit setup, flows, checklists. Deviations are rare because the system is designed to surface them early. When something breaks, it does so loudly and within defined margins. My world is procedural. We brief threats and errors before they exist. We trust redundancy, triple inertial reference units, dual flight management computers, independent air data sources. If one channel lies, another is supposed to correct it. That's the philosophy drilled into us from day one. Human judgment sits on top of systems that have already argued among themselves. The flight in question was scheduled as routine, a 30-minute sector, gate-to-gate, late evening, light passenger load, the kind of hop crews barely remember a week later. Weather was stable, no convective activity, light winds favoring a straightforward departure and a visual approach on the return leg. I'd flown the route dozens of times. The first officer was experienced, methodical, not prone to theatrics. Irregular events, in my experience, don't hide. They announce themselves through caution lights, maintenance write-ups, or missed performance targets. When something doesn't fit, you can usually point to a line in the manual and say, that's where it lives. That night, nothing suggested we were about to meet something without a line number. The first irregularity was small enough to be forgettable. During pre-flight, the left flight management computer displayed a winds aloft entry that didn't match the dispatch package. Off by a few degrees and 2 knots. It happens. Data uplinks lag, or a previous crew leaves residual entries that need clearing. I cross-checked with the right side. The numbers there matched dispatch. We erased and reloaded the left FMC. It accepted the data without protest. No fault messages, no flags. The aircraft met dispatch criteria. We noted nothing in the tech log because there was nothing to note. A transient discrepancy corrected through normal procedure doesn't rise to the level of documentation. During taxi, everything behaved. Engine parameters were stable, brake temps nominal. On takeoff roll, acceleration was textbook. At 80 knots, both airspeed indicators agreed within tolerance. At V1, the numbers were clean. If you're looking for meaning, this wasn't the place to find it. The anomaly had been explained, corrected, and filed away mentally where such things belong. Climb out was uneventful until passing 10,000 feet when the left altitude tape hesitated. Not a jump or a failure, just a brief lag, as if the display needed a moment to decide what came next. The right side continued smoothly. The autopilot, coupled to the left, compensated without disconnecting. We ran the cross-checks. Barometric settings matched. The standby altimeter agreed with the right primary. Air data comparison showed a momentary disagreement, then a return to green. The system logged it as a transient. No ECAM message, no master caution. According to the book, this was a non-event. 5 minutes later, the heading bug on my side drifted 2 degrees right without input. It corrected itself before my hand reached the selector. The first officer saw it too. We acknowledged it, then moved on. Gyro precession can manifest subtly, especially after a quick turnaround. The inertial system realigns continuously. Small corrections are expected. What made it difficult to ignore was the consistency. Each irregularity involved my side, each resolved before escalating. Each fit a plausible explanation when viewed alone. Together, they formed a pattern that didn't violate any single rule, but strained the spirit of redundancy. Approaching cruise, the flight director bars on the left dipped slightly below the horizon line, while the aircraft remained level. The right side stayed correct. The autopilot followed the right channel more aggressively than usual,
as if waiting it higher. That behavior isn't documented, but software logic can be opaque. We discussed switching sides. Before we did, the bars realigned. I started writing times down on my kneeboard, not because I was alarmed, but because repetition deserves record. In training, we're taught that patterns matter more than outliers. The cabin was quiet. ATC was routine. Outside, the night was clear enough to show a clean horizon, which disagreed with nothing.
The escalation came during descent, 10 minutes from landing. ATC cleared us direct to the initial approach fix. As we configured, the left navigation display momentarily depicted a turn opposite to the cleared track. The right side showed correct guidance. The autopilot, still engaged, hesitated, then followed the incorrect cue for just long enough to be noticeable. I disconnected manually. The aircraft responded immediately, stable and obedient. There was no sense of loss of control, just a brief disagreement between intent and indication. We flew raw data for the remainder of the approach. Visual conditions made that straightforward, but the discomfort came from knowing the systems were still running behind the glass, still making calculations we could no longer fully trust. On short final, the left radio altimeter called out 100, while the visual cues suggested we were higher. The right altimeter waited another 2 seconds before making the same call. 2 seconds is an eternity when systems are supposed to agree within fractions. We landed without incident. Rollout was normal. As we slowed, the left side briefly displayed a ground speed inconsistent with deceleration. It corrected before reaching taxi speed. No warnings, no faults, no recorded exceedances. I attempted a logical explanation, a failing air data module affecting only my display path. It fit partially. What it didn't explain was why the system never committed to failure. It hovered at the edge, self-correcting just enough to avoid triggering protections. Maintenance met us at the gate. I described the events in sequence with times and conditions. They ran built-in tests. Everything passed. No fault codes, no recorded anomalies. The aircraft history showed nothing similar. The logbook entry was conservative. Crew reports intermittent display discrepancies. Ops check normal. Dispatch cleared the aircraft for the next leg. Another crew would take it. That's how the system works. Without data, there's nothing to ground. I filed an internal safety report, knowing it would likely be categorized as informational. The language was precise, unemotional. I avoided speculation. The response came days later, thanking me for vigilance and confirming no further action required.